I think the value is being able to spread the love to my people.
Ooh,
and I think that's the realest thing anybody can do. Put somebody on some money. Why not? A lot of times people are like, well, dang, how you affording this? How you doing this? What does she do? I want to know what she does. I do tech. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk
Let's
about it.
I'm in tech, honey.
This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. Thank you, BetterHelp, for sponsoring this episode, but more about them later after the interview. Yo, so there are a lot of conversations that we have around the tech sales industry. Of course, the tech industry in general, but ultimately, really, when we get to tech sales, cybersecurity, certain roles in tech that honestly are very male dominated. Let's keep it a stack. Most roles in tech are male dominated. And we take it beyond that. There are certain roles where, at least I've noticed from my audience, whenever we're receiving DMs or comments, where I'll see women that aren't that familiar with the tech industry or that familiar with the tech sales industry thinking like, yo, is this space for me? Like, first off, is the tech industry for me as a woman? But secondly, is tech sales for me? Because, I mean, if you didn't know or not, I'm sure most of you all know that the sales space in general, we're not just talking tech, but sales in general is seen as a very masculine job. One of the things that I've noticed being in tech, I've had the privilege of meeting some really dope, phenomenal women that are both successful in the tech industry, but they also maintain their femininity, maintain just all of what's beautiful about being a woman overall. And I love having opportunities like this to talk to women like that and allow those women to share their perspective, their experience, their knowledge, their wisdom about being in this industry. Knowledge and wisdom that's beneficial, not just for the women, but for the men as well. And so I'm really excited because the guest that I have on is somebody that I've been connected with for a while. I've wanted to come on to the podcast because not only is she in tech and specifically tech sales, but she also has been in a few different companies and also is working in big tech. So that would be a pretty interesting conversation for us to have as well. Now, of course, as always, got to go ahead and read off the bio of our guest to make sure we're putting some respect on her name. And so the guest that we have today is Taylor. And Taylor has worked in tech for 4 years with a diverse tech sales background, both in health tech, construction tech. I'm not even sure if that's the proper way. I threw that in there. Power and storage. And so now, again, I've looked at her LinkedIn profile and I was like, yo, she's been in like a few companies and like different sizes as well. And I'm actually curious. I'm going to bring some of the things up during the conversation to kind of ask her about, to give some insight, not just for you all, but also for myself. But as always, make sure y'all go ahead and give a wonderful virtual round of applause. If you're driving in your car, tap your steering wheel as if you're clapping for our guest today, Taylor. Taylor, thank you so much for being on Tech is the New Black.
Hello.
What's going on? What's
up? How are you? I'm
doing great. How are you doing? I'm feeling good. You know, I just finished this drink.
I'm feeling good too.
Yeah.
Comfortable.
Did you finish yours?
No.
Okay, cool. All right, so you're gonna be feeling better as the interview goes on.
You're right.
No, super happy to have you on. This definitely has been a long time coming, and so I know that obviously you live here in Atlanta, right?
Yeah, I live in Atlanta. I've been here for like 6 years now.
Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We literally just talked about like where it is you came from, and so there needs to be a new rule.
Stuff already.
There's a rule I should not be drinking. I need to stick to tequila. I don't know what other drinks do to me. This is why I need to just stick to tequila.
That's crazy.
Where did you come from? Where did you go? All right, look. So,
okay, go ahead.
Anyway, very excited for you to be here on Tech is the New Black. Excited to be able to talk to you about your experience being in the industry and just really hear your perspective overall. And so thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. I know we were supposed to link up last time, but we're here now.
Yeah, hey, look, we here.
Right.
That's all that matters.
So I appreciate the invite. I'm ready to, chop it up with you and talk about my experience in tech.
Yeah, let's get to it then. All right, so first question that we have, and we got to get into this because this matters, because there are a lot of people that are like, okay, cool, you're in tech, but what was life like for you before you got in the tech industry? And like what led to that transition of you getting in the industry?
Oh my gosh. So when I first moved to Atlanta, I'm from Iowa. When I first moved to Atlanta, I thought I was going to be a news reporter. Like, I was working at CNN as an intern, broke, didn't know nobody out here in Atlanta. I was like sleeping on my cousin's, 1-bedroom couch.
Yeah.
Didn't have a car. I was taking the Gwinnett County Transit from Lawrenceville down to the MARTA station, down to CNN and back, all that. So I came out from Iowa to Atlanta thinking I was going to be a news reporter. Yeah. Interned with CNN for like 6 months. They didn't hire me after my internship. And I was like, I'm not going back to Iowa. I got to figure it out one way or another. So I started like freelancing, doing my own thing. I was like, that's where Taylor Lee TV came from. So my Instagram handle, that makes Taylor Lee TV, TLTV. It was my own freelance media entertainment company. Yeah. I was interviewing, celebrities, artists, and it was a great time going to, events and things like that. But I was not getting paid for it. It was cool. I enjoyed it, but I had, bills, had real responsibilities. Yeah, for real. So you asked, what was my, how did I get into sales?
Yeah, what was the transition like from, really, okay, so you were at CNN interning. They didn't put you on full time. So you had to try to figure some things out. You started the content with Taylor Lee TV.
Yep.
Where did that lead for you to get into tech sales?
Okay, so this is how it happened. So my dad, he's been in sales all my life. He's in medical sales, right? So he was always pushing like, hey, you need to get in sales. That's where the money is. You need to do sales, right? So my first sales job was enterprise rental car. And
okay, my bad. When you say enterprise, my mind
like I know, right? No.
Enterprise sales? That's crazy.
No, okay, enterprise rent a car, right?
Yeah, okay.
So I started from the bottom, and it wasn't necessarily tech sales, but that was my first sales experience. Yeah. So I was trying to add additional insurance. You know how that go, like that was my first sales experience. Worked there for a couple years, and I ended up quitting because I was like, I have no work-life balance. I'm working like 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Like it sucked. Like I didn't like it. Right, I didn't like it. So I was like, I'm not doing this no more. And during that time, I was still hustling. I was doing that, trying to do my TLTV thing. I was working, at a bar, just doing a whole bunch of stuff. And I was like, I needed something that was more stable where I don't have to do so many things and I have like enough money to like take care of myself, right? Yeah. So after enterprise, I started working for a company called Autodesk. That was my first.
Autodesk.
Yeah, Autodesk. And that's where you were like, well, I'm, construction sales. What is that really? But I was working for Autodesk, and it was kind of like an umbrella company, and I worked mainly for the company PlanGrid, which is underneath Autodesk. And that was more of construction sales. So my title was a business development rep. I was, business, started from the bottom.
I see where it's going.
Yeah, business development rep. And I was mostly speaking with project engineers, project managers, about getting them into PlanGrid. And PlanGrid was basically a mobile blueprint. So, when construction workers, they're using blueprints to build buildings and everything. PlanGrid created a device that allowed people to work in real time. So it was like a tablet, right? Okay. And it was a blueprint, but it allowed everyone to be connected, like all the project engineers to the actual people in the field to be connected from this mobile blueprint, right? Okay. So that's who my audience was. I was selling to, construction workers, project engineers, talking to them. And it was great. I enjoyed it a lot. But then that was around the same time COVID kind of happened, right?
Yeah.
So it was crazy because we were supposed to go to San Francisco for, to learn what we're doing, We ended up doing everything remotely. So I went from working in an office every day to going completely remote into a tech type sales position that I had no idea really what I was doing, Yeah. So I'm really dependent on my teammates, dependent on everybody else. Like, hey, let's figure this out together, right? It was cool. I liked it. I liked it. The money was cool at that time. My expenses weren't as high as they are now. So I was able to take care of myself. Like, it was cool. And I liked it a lot. But I'm not gonna lie, like I kind of had to go where the money goes. So I'm sure you looked at my LinkedIn, you probably like, dang, she done hopped around a little bit, but I did.
I hopped around a lot too.
Yeah, I hopped around a little bit. Let's be real. So
for real.
From there, I went to Athena Health, and that was my first introduction into like healthcare sales. So I went from speaking to project engineers every day to speaking with doctors if I can get one on the phone, or speaking to receptionists that were, the first hand of contact to the doctors or whatnot, selling them EMR systems,
Okay, EMR.
Yeah, electronic medical record systems. There we go. Okay. Electronic medical record systems. And it was a transition. Athena was a cool company. Enjoyed that. And then I was had to go where the money went. Yeah. And here we are, IBM. I always knew IBM was a big company. I knew it was very popular. Yes. You know, anytime anybody told me, hey, I work for IBM, I'm like, dang.
You knew they had money.
Yeah. You get money. Like, they get money. Like, they at IBM, okay. They doing something, you know?
Yeah.
And I've been with IBM ever since. And I can honestly say, like, I like it. I'm doing power and storage. So now I'm really deep in the tech of stuff, like power, storage, sustainability. Mm-hmm. I'm working with a whole bunch of people that know a lot, you know, like that know a lot techie wise. And
how long have you been there?
I've been with IBM for about 1.5 years now. Okay, so cool. Not too long, but I'm enjoying where I'm at. Yeah. I love my team, my manager. I have a black manager, you know, and it's a woman too, you know, and that's for me, that's different. Yeah, that's different for me because I've always worked in an environment where, you know, mostly male dominant, mostly, you know, white, which is what I was used to. But now I'm working on a team. Half my team looks like me. My manager's black, but they're also very smart. IBM's a great company to work for, and I enjoy it.
Yeah, they're a really great company. IBM is like
it's the head honcho.
Yeah, they go back.
They go real, but it's the big blue.
They go back.
It's the big blue.
Yeah, they go back. Yo, shouts out to IBM. One of our friends, a mutual friend of Eric and mine, Josh. Who never responds in the group chat ever. I haven't seen him respond in a group chat over a year. Oh, y'all take. So y'all gotta.
They'll leave you out. Oh, they'll leave you out.
Cool. Okay. I see how stuff is. But I remember, I forget what tech company that he left for IBM, but it was, I think he got something like a $60,000 pay bump, and this was 2 years ago. So I know he's getting paid a lot more now. And the company was like, yeah, we can't match that. He was like, yeah, bye. And so he went to where the money resides. So I know that's super cool. So yeah, so that is a bit of a different route than most other people have gotten in tech sales. I'm sure you see all this tech bootcamp stuff. You see people doing that where they're kind of jumping and just kind of transferring straight in. But you went like a completely backdoor route to where I almost wonder, did you even really know what industry you were fully stepping yourself into?
No, I did not at all. I had no idea. And I think that's where the biggest discrepancy comes in when people jump into tech. They think, oh, you got to have some type of prior knowledge to this. No, you don't, you know?
Yeah, you really don't. I get that question a lot where people say, oh, well, like, what about my background? Or I don't really know. I'm not techie. And it's like, trust me, you're overthinking it. It's not that deep.
Definitely overthinking it.
Yeah, yes. Specifically for the roles that don't require you to be technical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, I can see if you're like trying to be like an engineer or something. Yeah, like, exactly. Obviously, that takes some type of prior knowledge, but sales, no.
Yo, so for everybody that's interested in what this guest is talking about and you would love a similar career, I suggest you check out Course Careers Bootcamp. Course Careers is a bootcamp that I have been partnered with for well over a year now, and they have helped more people break into tech, I'll be honest, than any other bootcamp that I've personally seen. So look, Course Careers is only $500, that's it. But if you use our discount code Cyrus50, you'll get an additional $50 off. So that way all you pay is actually $449. That's it. No additional price later, no extra costs, extra fees. That's it with the price for Course Careers. Now, they're a self-paced boot camp that you can take and be able to get a variety of different roles in tech. So make sure you check them out. Use our link below in that discount code if you want an additional $50 off, and keep us posted on your journey breaking into tech. All right, so let's dive a little bit deeper. So one of the things that's important for people that I tell people that they need to like really look at and leverage is their LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. And so what is some insights that you can give to people when it comes to optimizing their LinkedIn properly?
Do not just follow people that work at the same company as you. I feel like a lot of people just follow people that they might know or work at the same company. And I'm not gonna lie, I used to do that too. I'm like, they not at IBM, they not at Autodesk. You know, I'm not following them, I don't know them.
Oh, so you was like,
I was a little picky with it. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little picky with my following, you know? But I learned that over time, that doesn't really get you anywhere, you know? And the best jobs, when you're looking for a job, is looking through LinkedIn. I ain't never found a job off of Indeed. Yeah. No shade. I just personally haven't. I think LinkedIn is kind of like the bread and butter of corporate jobs.
I want to say that, but LinkedIn isn't paying us yet, and I don't know if we might get a brand deal with Indeed in the future. So
let me shut up.
Look, you can pop your itch. You can pop your itch. And I
personally have not.
I'm joking, by the way. No, I would speak candidly because I don't care brand deal or not. Like it's about giving people the truth. It's like, yeah, LinkedIn is where it's at.
It's the bread and butter.
Because it's a social media platform. There's
Right.
also is a job board and a plethora of other things.
Right.
And so no, LinkedIn is definitely where it's at.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I never. It's always interesting to me when I hear people go to other platforms to search for a job. I'm like,
I know.
But why?
Right.
You know, but I'm like, okay, cool. You know, to each their own.
Right.
And so, yeah. So I love that you mentioned not just connecting with people within your company.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that I like about that, you said this without saying it, is the fact that you're still focused on LinkedIn and making connections even though you have a job.
Exactly.
There are a lot of people that just leverage it
Mm-hmm.
to get a job. And they get a job and they're like, all right, bye, I'm no longer on here. And it's like, why would you say there's value and still optimizing the platform, still using it, still making connections, even after you don't just have a job in tech,
right.
you at a big dog company.
Right.
You know, so what's the value? Like, why?
Okay, so for me, I think the value is being able to spread the love to my people. You know how many times like other companies reach out to me and they're like, hey, I know you're currently working for IBM, but if you know anybody that's looking for a position within sales or somebody that has prior experience in this or that, I can pass that information forward.
Ooh,
and I think that's the realest thing anybody can do. Put somebody on some money. Why not? You know?
Yes, exactly.
So I think that's kind of where my value comes in. It's like, let me be a support for others. Like I kind of quote unquote, made it, as far as like job career wise, but it's like any way I can help, I want to be able to be a support system for that.
How did your family, how did they react? Like, I guess, does your family even understand, like, to the level of which it's like, yo, you're at IBM, like, you're...
My family does, but I think my family gets a little annoyed with me. They're like, you need to stay at this job. Because, like...
Oh, they don't want you to job hop
Yeah,
out.
because,
Okay, you hopped a couple times.
Exactly. So, it's like the generation, you got to think, generations are different. So, it's like, back in the day, they stay at one job 50 years, get their retirement, and they go,
Oh, my God.
And since I've been in Atlanta for 6 years, and I've hopped, like, 3 positions, So it's no shade to people that have found that one position and they're able to build their ways up, their way up. Yeah. But for me, my story is a little different. Yeah. And they were very proud of me. My parents were like, oh yeah, my daughter, she worked at IBM, they're very proud of me, but they're like, stay. They're like, you need to stay. Stop moving around so much.
Yeah, your times definitely are different where the fastest way to grow your income, like, you don't want to jump a different job every 6 months or something like that, every 9 months, but it's like, you definitely don't want to stay anywhere past, at least not past a couple years.
Exactly. And I also believe that for me, the skills that I possess from my previous companies helped me get the job where I am now.
Definitely.
Like if it wasn't for Enterprise, if it wasn't for Athena Health or Autodesk, like I wouldn't be where I am now. So I don't look back at those jobs as, a setback. If anything,
they were stepping stones.
For sure.
They helped you. It helped you a lot. All right, so let's talk about this. One of the things we discussed talking about is the art of...
Let's get into it.
Finesse. Art of finesse. So first off, what is the art of finesse? And how, please teach us how to properly finesse. Okay.
So the proper way to finesse is building relationships.
Wait. First off, what is finesse? What are we talking about?
Okay, we're not talking like, finesse. We're talking about just like getting your foot in the door.
Finesse. Okay. Yeah, so finessing, getting your foot in the door into the industry. Yeah, I know people come to you all the time like, how can I get into tech? How can I do this? How can I do that? Yeah. And it's more than just applying for something and hoping and praying that you get in. It doesn't work like that. So I feel like the finesse for me is building that LinkedIn, building relationships. It's all about who you know. With anything in Atlanta, like with anything, a lot of people luck up, and I was kind of one of those people. I knew how to talk to people. I knew how to build those relationships and connect with people. And I also think the finesse comes from like interviewing. You have to know how to interview. Like interviewing is so important, and I feel like a lot of times people don't take that time to practice how to interview with people. You know how many people come up to me or DM me like, hey, I want to get a job at IBM. What I got to do? I'll be like, okay, give me your resume. I'll give it to the hiring manager personally. That's a big step. Everything else is on you. I can be a resource for you, but I can only do so much. I can't hold your hand in the interview. So it's like, I think the biggest finesse is doing things like you telling me, like, you need to be going to these conferences. You need to be shaking hands with the people that you're trying to get into the same position that they're in. Like, you have to know how to build those relationships. Yeah. Man, that's so good. That's really important to understand the value of relationships in the industry And I love how, like you mentioned earlier, like how you're like putting people on. And the reality of it is that the people that you're able to put on, like when companies come to you and they say, hey, do you know somebody, is because those other people, like in some way, some point in time, they connect with you, they network with you.
Yeah.
And it's like just the value of that. And I think a lot of people don't really understand how important it is to know how to interview, because I didn't even realize, because I'm somewhat naturally good at interviewing.
I am too.
And so in my mind, I'll be like, well, if you get in interviews, like you're going to get a job like fairly quickly. But I've seen a few people where they would either do a boot camp, or maybe they got like a technical degree in college, and whatever it might be, they're getting interviews, they're optimizing their LinkedIn. Because 9 times out of 10, when I don't see people getting jobs within a certain like time frame, it's usually because they're not optimizing their LinkedIn, or they're not networking at all. But then every now and again, it's probably happened only like 3 or 4 times where I've seen people where I'm like, no, your LinkedIn looks fine. Yeah. And it's like, okay, you did the boot camp, you got proper certifications, proper knowledge. And it's like, okay, you have a pretty good network. It's like, and you're getting interviews. Right. It's like, oh, the problem is with your interview. There's something happening in your interviewing that's going on. So what are some tips that you could give for people in the interview process?
So these are the tips that worked for me. Okay. I was very transparent. One of the main questions when I interviewed with IBM, and IBM, it's pretty, like it's a long, lengthy process. I had like 4 interviews, I think, with the company. But my now manager, she interviewed me, and she was like, do you always hit your numbers? In your last position when you were at Athena Health, were you hitting your numbers quarterly, like every quarter? And I was like, no, I didn't. I was super transparent with her. And you know what she said? She was like, I like that you were honest with me. And she was like, why do you think you'll be an asset here at IBM? And I told her specifically, I was like, I'm willing to learn. I could be a sponge, I was like, that's one of my biggest like traits about me. I might not know everything, but I'm honest enough to tell you I don't know that. And I'm going to go seek the help that I need, whatever I need to do. And I was like, take a chance on me and, let my work show the rest. And she did. So I'm not gonna say that works for everybody, but I think in that position it worked for me. And I do think that, if you go into an interview telling them like, oh, I got 100% on all my numbers and I'm basically, like the bomb, people are gonna expect that from you. And they're like, oh, she's a little cocky with it or whatever. Like she knows everything. And truth of the matter, a lot of people don't. Like even now in my position, I learn stuff every day, and I've been there for a year and a half. Yeah. So I think being transparent is important, and really showcasing your skills. Like, okay, maybe I'm not good at doing this, but I'm really good at that. And maybe that's something that the company is looking for, Like one of my biggest skills was communication. I told you I used to work for CNN. Yeah. That was something that I was trying to do. So I was like, you know what? I know how to talk to people. You could put me in the field. I want to be a field rep. That was something I really wanted to do until we got into like this digital world or whatnot. And she was asking me like, hey, what are your goals? Where do you see yourself, given you got a position with IBM. I was like, I want to get into like an account executive role. I want to get into a managing role. I want to get into a field rep role. So I think a lot of times employers want to see that you have a vision for yourself. Yes. You have a vision for yourself. And from there, they'll take a chance on you. Yeah. No, I truly believe that.
What I kind of get from you is like a confident transparency. Because I've seen people be transparent about something they might be lacking, or they get asked a question in an interview, and it's like they'll be transparent, but they'll be like really kind of shy or embarrassed. So it's like, okay, well, do you always hit your numbers? And it's like, well, no, I don't. Kinda, no. It's like you feel down about it. Or there'll be someone that will say, yeah, I hit my numbers all the time, and it's like, okay, you're like too much. Exactly. But it's like, but to balance transparency, but to still be confident with it, and be like, yo, I don't always hit my numbers, but boom, boom, boom. Right. And it's just like, oh, you're transparent, but you're still are exuding a certain level of confidence, and like that's something I could already tell that's the case with you. And I think, and I wanted to address that, so that people kind of like are able to get that as well, where it's like, yo, like be transparent, but also like, yo, stand 10 toes down on what it is. It's like, yo, hey, I don't always do this. Right. Hey, but look, this is what it is. I'm willing to work on it.
Right. And then that's another thing. Like my manager, when we were interviewing, she was like, what are your goals? Why'd you want to get into sales? And I was like, look, I'm money motivated. Yeah. I was like, I like to get money. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. That's why I'm in sales. So it's like knowing that I have to hit my KPIs in order to get more money, I'm going to do it. Oh, yeah. I'm going to learn everything I need to learn. I might not know about power storage and sustainability now, but I'll learn it. You know, that's what I've been doing. So I feel like being transparent and being 100 with yourself and your managers, they'll take a chance on you.
Sales is, I know to some people are like, yo, how can you say in an interview, yo, I'm trying to get to the money. I would say, and you correct me if I'm wrong, or add to this, take away, whatever. I would say that the sales space, especially like tech sales, is one of the fields where you can say in an interview, like, man, I want to make 1,000%. 1,000%. Because to them, if they hear you want to make a lot of money, that's also translating to, ooh, the more money you make, the more money you make the company.
Exactly.
So it's a win-win. So they want you to be money motivated.
Exactly. Everybody on my team, everybody that I know at IBM that's in sales is money motivated.
Yeah.
1,000%.
Yeah. I mean, shoot, I chose sales engineering.
Come on.
And so it's like, yo, get to the
You already know.
Get to the coinage. Whether you're dealing with tough decisions centered around career, relationships, or anything else, therapy is the piece that keeps us connected and grounded about the things that really matter in life. So that way we can move forward with excitement and anticipation. And for everyone who's thinking of starting therapy, I personally suggest that you use BetterHelp to give you that assistance. And what I love about BetterHelp is that it's entirely online and it's designed specifically to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. So make sure you visit betterhelp.com/TNB to make sure you get 10% off your first month, and let us know how your journey in therapy is going. So that being said, something that I'm very intrigued about with you is that it's like, okay, you're at IBM, you've been there for a year and a half now.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not job hopping, at least not anytime soon.
No.
That being said, is there a plan? Like, do you plan on becoming an account executive?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So, is there like a timeline on that? Like, what's going on with that?
So I've been at the company for a year and a half now,
Mm-hmm.
and my main goal is to get into more of a closing role.
Okay.
So what I do right now is I'm kind of like a liaison between IBM and the companies that I send, like that are looking to purchase products from us.
Okay, cool.
So they'll reach out to me. I'm like the first point of contact. And from there, I get them in contact with a brand seller or a tech specialist or whatnot. And they do the closing of it.
Okay.
So I want to get into more of a closing role where it's like I'm the one that not only is, building this relationship, but I'm putting the money into IBM's pockets.
Yeah.
So it's like that, or I want to get into a field position where I'm doing, going one-on-one like conferences with people or taking people out to lunch. I feel like I shine more in person. I'm telling you, people can only get so much from you, like digitally or over the phone. But I think, and that's what I grew up seeing my dad do. He was always, flying out, taking people to lunches or, doing whatever. But I think because of that, he succeeded in what he's doing. Yeah. So to answer your question, I see myself doing that within like the next year, hopefully, God willing.
Definitely. I believe it. So that makes a lot of sense. What I love about that is, oftentimes, I know people love working remote, and I'm assuming you work remote. Correct?
I work hybrid, so I go to the office 3 days a week, and I work remotely Mondays and Fridays.
Okay, dope. I think that's fire. Yeah, so which I think is kind of the best of both worlds, because what a lot of people don't know is that it's proven that those that are whenever you're at a company that has the option to go in office, the people who tend to get promoted faster are the ones that are in the office.
Absolutely.
And it's like there's a whole connection thing. You see, it's like a whole thing in it. So I love the hybrid model because it gives the opportunity of one, especially like you're off Friday and Monday, or not off, but you're at home Friday and Monday. So it gives you like almost the illusion of like a 4-day weekend in a way. And so I love that, but also still being able to go in the office, make those connections, build relationships with people, feel more connected to your company. So there's a lot of value in that. But one of the things that you mentioned is you desiring to want to basically get flued out for your company.
For sure.
And I think that's dope. The reason why I want to touch on that is because oftentimes, people message me and they're like, oh man, like I don't want to be at they're like, am I going to have to do any traveling to be at the company? And I'll usually tell the people, I'm like, well, it depends on what company you get hired at. I don't know. But in my mind, I'm like,
don't you want to?
Yes,
that's what I'm saying. Like, that's
I'm
fun.
Like, you don't realize how
I love
great
not
of an
having to spend my own money.
That is.
They put you in a nice hotel sometimes, like free flights, experience, and it's like you're not tied down into the conference or whatever event that you're at all day. So it's like, I'm going to Vegas next month.
My first tech company flew me to Vegas.
Come on.
They put me in a hotel. It's the craziest view I've ever seen. It was my first time, only time ever in Vegas.
Right.
The experience. It was at a lawyer tech conference. Okay. And I was like, yo, it was fun. Is crazy.
Right. So they flew us out to Dallas. I was in Dallas in November for the Supercomputers event in Dallas. And it's like I have friends that I went to college with that live in Dallas. So it's like after these conferences and stuff that I'm going to, I'm linking up with my girls.
You turning up?
Yeah, I'm kicking out.
You hitting up people that's in the city?
Having a good time.
What's up?
Yeah, I think people that, don't like the idea of traveling and working, that's kind of crazy. I can't relate.
I will say this. And I can't relate either, but I would say this. I believe that people should really realize the opportunity that's there to be able to travel with your company, to meet new people, make valuable connections, and also make a lot of money while doing it.
For sure.
And it's just incredible. So I wanted to kind of double back to that. So like have you speak to that a little bit, just because I didn't want people to miss that or that to go over people's heads. Because I know some people can hear and be like, oh, travel for work. But it's like, no, that's an incredible opportunity.
It's a great opportunity. Yeah. And then like you said, it's again, building those relationships. It's not many times you're going to be, face to face with like a CEO or face to face with like some of these heavy hitters at these huge companies. So it's like anytime you're able to have a one-on-one conversation or even just be in the same vicinity as them, that's a win.
Yeah.
It's a win.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, like right now, at least with my company, we are really like trying to like alleviate social media. So it's like anytime we're at a conference, we're posting pictures on LinkedIn, we're doing everyone's social platform, and that's how you expose yourself. It's like not only are the people at your company seeing that as she's really out here putting herself out there, but other people are seeing it as well. So again, back to building relationships and networking. Social media is so powerful right now, even in the workspace. Like people, like big companies are catching on to it now that they want you to expose them as well.
Yes, they are. And it's incredibly
they want to be exposed too. Like even this interview, honestly, once we get it back,
this is gonna look good.
Play it back to my manager. She gonna love it.
It's gonna be a
She'll
good
eat
look.
it up.
Oh yeah,
She'll eat it up.
Yeah, we've had plenty of people, and I mean, there's a few different angles, and I was supposed to speak at a tech conference a couple months ago, but they ended up postponing the conference. And what I told them I wanted to speak on was the necessity to have a brand, like outside of your job, not necessarily be a social media influencer, but like in some kind of way, brand yourself professionally. And because people ask me all the time, like, man, Cyrus, like, how did you got into tech and you had these companies offer you all this? Like, how did you go from $90,000 to basically $230,000 just like my salary or just my OTE? That's not even counting everything else. And all of that happened within a 9 or 10 month time frame. People were like, yo, what extra certifications did you get after the boot camp? None. Like what extra education? None. You're like, well, how are you getting these offers? Oh, I was posting content on LinkedIn. I was showing my knowledge. I was networking. And it's just what would happen. I started to notice this. It took me a second to peep game. My company, because what would happen was whenever I would do demos as a sales engineer, there would be plenty of times we would win the deals because the prospect saw me on LinkedIn and was already sold on me, so they were sold on the company. And so the company was making money not just off of my ability to demo, but also just my brand. So then other companies saw that. And other companies, they're thinking like, yo, we want this guy at our company.
Word of mouth is so strong.
And so, I'm not even gonna lie. I'm gonna keep it a stack. I actually got it from, there was a coworker. She was being onboarded with me at my first tech company, Dowpad. Shouts out to Dowpad. And it was the weirdest thing. How like we were part of the whole new hire. It was like 10 or 12 of us, maybe 20 of us actually, but most of us were all in different roles. I was the only one that was a sales engineer that was being onboarded. And one woman who was being onboarded with the 20 of us, she was being treated like a celebrity. It was the weirdest thing. Now, mind you, I'm brand new to tech. I'm just now getting in tech. And I don't think I've ever shared this story before. I was just getting in tech, and it was so weird to me where I felt like a very small, fish in a big pond. Yeah. And I was like, who is this woman that she's just now starting at the company, and everyone's acting like she's a celebrity? They ended up doing a company-wide meeting. It was around the time where the company would have like a huge conference, whatever. And the company shouted out all the new hires that month. But then they specifically shouted her out. And they were like, yo, we got Danny, such and such. Everybody was like, oh, all hype and excited. And I was like, what? Why are y'all so hyped for? Right. And then mind you, she was cool peoples. But we connected on LinkedIn. And I was checking out our LinkedIn. And I was following her. And again, I'm getting more familiar with LinkedIn at the time. And I was like, yo, she's an influencer. Yeah. I was like, and I looked at her history and the companies that had her and the promotions she got and everything. And she was a phenomenal worker. Not gonna say, she was a lazy worker. She was phenomenal. But I was like, yo, she's getting crazy 6-figure opportunities and bonuses and all other type of stuff. And like she works hard, but she's getting significantly more because she's leveraging herself.
Yep.
And when I saw that, I immediately was like, yo, I need to, I need to, I said, I'm going to do it my own way, but I'm going to do something similar. And that junk just took off. And people don't understand the value of that.
Right.
And so what are some ways that like you kind of do different things or pieces to like allow yourself to kind of stand out, or whether it's with your company or others, like for people to see you?
I'm not gonna lie, I feel like a lot of people don't even know that I work for IBM unless they personally ask me. You know, like every now and then, like I'll post something on Instagram, like I'm here at a conference, or follow me on LinkedIn. Yeah. But I think just listening to your story and about the girl or whatever, I think people gravitate towards people that are themselves. Like even right here with like Tech is the New Black. Like I think this is something that's cool, you know? Yeah. So it's like when people look at you, they don't probably just like relate tech to you, but like, oh, Cyrus, you know, like he's dope, you know, like.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, like he's dope, but he's a cool person and stuff like that. Yeah. They're already.
Eric said he aight.
Yeah, all right. I'm about to puppy you up. But no, it's like people are already interested in you. So I feel like with me, you ask me like, what are you doing now? Like that, like leverages, you know, my career, my 9 to 5. I think I'm being myself. I'm being myself still. Like Taylor outside of IBM, I like to travel. I like to kick it with my friends. I like fancy stuff. I'm not gonna lie. You know, and a lot of times people are like, well, dang, how you affording this? How you doing this? What does she do? I want to know what she does. I do tech. Let's talk about it.
Let's
you know?
talk about it.
I'm in tech, honey.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, and I think that's like, I feel like tech is like, we're in a field now, like it's popular, it's sexy, like it's cool. Like I work in tech. I remember somebody asked me like, what does that mean? You know, or I do tech sales, you know, let's talk about it. So I think back to your question, you know, what are you doing to leverage yourself? I think I'm promoting who I really am. Like I'm not putting on an act or a show, but it's just, I'm able to afford a certain lifestyle based off of what I do. Yep. And that's a whole nother conversation, but I can introduce you to it.
Yo,
you know, I can introduce you to it.
Come on.
You willing to listen? Yeah.
Come on. I can set an appointment, check my Calendly. All right. So look, so there are a lot of people that don't understand the power of, like, there's some people that think, okay, in order to be successful in tech sales, you need to like be like very masculine. But I think there's you, and I think about you, Kayla Burks, who's also in tech sales. Shouts out to Kayla Burks and Big Boss Energy. And it's also Astrid. 3 different women in tech sales we've had on the podcast. I don't think we've had any other women in tech. I don't think we've had any other tech sales people in general. Yeah. But one consistency with all 3 of you women is that all of y'all are like very feminine but also very successful in the tech sales space. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that there's a power, a unique power. It's different, but there's a unique power to a woman embracing her femininity, even in tech sales. And it's not thinking, oh, I can't be a woman, but it's like embracing that womanhood. Right. Like, so 1, tell me, like, is that correct? And 2, if that is the case, like, what does that look like?
Yeah. 1, you are 1000% correct. But I think what makes women in tech, Black women specifically in tech, so successful is because when you're able to get on a phone call and speak that tech language to people, and you know, like Kayla and the other girl, you know, you're an attractive woman, and even outside of that, but it's like, you know what you're talking about. Knowledge is so sexy, and I had a guy tell me that, you know. So it's one thing, it's like, okay, I'm working in tech, but it's another thing, like, I actually know what I'm doing and I'm good at it, you know, and I can do it in Dior Hills, like.
Come on. Yo, we got to get a dynamic camera so I can zoom in on the Dior Hills. Come on. If you adore her, Dior her.
Please. But no. Honestly, you know, it's just the best thing you can do, like I said, when it's just be a sponge. Like, because once you're able to understand what it is that you're doing and be able to relate it back to other people and to sell it, like, that is a really great feeling. Like, it's a great feeling. And like with me personally with IBM, like, we're based on our KPIs. Like, everything's like quarterly. So like every 3 months, that's when a commission comes, you know? Okay. So it's like every 3 months, like right now I got to hit $1.2 million in sales. And it sounds like crazy, but it's like, if our products are starting off at 50K, you know, and it's like, you telling me you need a renewal on something, it's like, what are you going to do without it? You kind of need it, you know? So it's like
I'm a math junkie. I was doing the math.
Ahead.
It was like 50K. It was like,
but that's like on a low end. That's on a low end. You know, if I'm selling like a Z system, or like, I know that sounds like crazy. Like, what is a Z system? All these other big things, but sometimes they could be like 150K to $300,000.
Yeah, so you can hit that 1.2 million.
Come on, it's easy. It's easy, and I've seen people do it. I got people on my team now that are already like up. You know, they relaxing, twiddling their thumbs, like they good. Yeah. Is
it? I'm curious. Is it uncapped after that? So is it like you hit 1.2 mil and now is there more after that?
It's kind of uncapped. So it's like 200%.
Okay, cool.
It's 200%, but even then, that's good. That's great. You know,
that's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's real good.
Woo! I love to see it. I love to see that. So one of the things that, like, seeing you in tech sales, but specifically seeing you in a it's a BDR position, right? Or is it SDR?
SDR, BDR.
Yeah, SDR. I know sometimes they're interchangeable. And so one of the things that I think is really cool, and I was learning about this recently, is how, well, one thing I've already known is how you can make more money in tech, specifically tech sales, without necessarily getting promoted. And or another thing that's possible that I've been telling people about is how some people think you have to be in a manager position to make more money. I know people that, like, in tech, you can avoid a manager position. You can just work your job and make as much money as your manager, even more.
Yeah.
And so, but one of the other things that a lot of people don't know about is how you can do a SDR, BDR role at a big tech company and make the same amount or more money than like an account executive role at like a smaller company or a different company.
The title does not matter.
Yeah.
The title doesn't matter. And honestly, we're in the best positions when you're in that SDR, BDR role, especially if you are able to master it and do good. Yeah. You hitting 200% in sales every quarter. You are in your bag. You making more than a lot of people. Yeah. A lot of people, you know, don't get me wrong. Like, the title of a manager and account executive is great. If you're doing the work, you know, you're hitting that, but it's like, if, you know, I'd rather be an SDR hitting my numbers than be an account executive and not, you know.
That's real.
Yeah, I'd rather do that.
Looking for a job in tech can be tricky, but what if there's a way to automate the entire process? That's where Octoply.ai comes in. See, this software does all the work it takes for you to get hired, from researching companies to scheduling interviews. And all you have to do is just show up. Octoply.ai is the first application of its kind that will find jobs that you're top applicant for, apply to roles, reformat your resume, and manages interviews all while you sleep. So if you're tired of the tedious job search, try Octoply.ai today and let technology work for you.
That's very real. So what are your plans? Like, what's next with you? Because I mean, like, where do you think you're gonna go? Because honestly, I think there's so many directions you can go in. And I'm not even talking about like you jumping jobs. Obviously, like, you're secure at IBM, but I mean, we were just saying, I think offline, where it's like, yo, like, you could speak at some tech events.
Right.
Like,
I would love that.
Tech events, and
I would love that.
Yeah.
I would love that.
I mean, that really, realistically, it will go back to your gift. It will go back to what it is. And it will kind of like spin the block on
everything's full circle, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
I would love that. I never really thought too much about that, but that's not something that I'm opposed to at all.
Hosting. I can see hosting at
and I would love that. I think that would be dope.
Gosh.
You gotta link me up with like stuff like that. I'm telling you, seriously, I would. Because not even that, like, not to pop my own. I was about to cuss.
No, pop your shit. Pop it. Say it. We grown.
I was gonna say, not to pop my own or whatever, but I just feel like I'm relatable, and I feel like people would like talking to me.
Yes, they
would.
Yeah.
So it's like, if I can talk about my experience and bring the next person on and just be my authentic self, that's something that I want to do. Suppose if I can get paid for it too, why not?
For real. Look, all of the tech founders or the founders of companies, y'all have conferences, or all of y'all that's having just tech conferences in general, all that stuff. Y'all make sure y'all hit her up. Look at the show notes. Look at the information. So that way y'all able to tap in with her and have her hosting. Because I mean, the energy is real. Y'all would love it. Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I see myself doing.
So what are you doing? Like, what are your, I guess, some of your plans in life? And not like your full like 10, 20-year plan, but like, what are some of the things you're thinking about, maybe either leveraging your tech career or leveraging your bag to like do? So
I want to leverage my tech career so that it can leverage what I'm not gonna say like what I want to do, but what I want to do. Like me, I enjoy traveling. Like, I enjoy traveling. I think anybody that follows me on social media, they know, like, Taylor, she's always gone. I be gone. You know? So it's like, I want to get into a position where I have enough money funded so that I can do that and get like brand partnerships with it, start, you know, maybe my own type of whatever with it, and kind of take off from there.
I was thinking about something. I'm
No, say it. Tell me.
Okay, look. I mean, I was gonna tell you. I just wasn't gonna say, but I'll say it her because it's a good thing. I was like, yo, like maybe. Like, I mean, you travel a lot.
I
like,
do.
So when you talk about, okay, like brand deals, sponsorships with like different type of travel businesses.
Yeah.
We actually might be eventually doing a sponsorship with like a travel company with Tech is the New Black.
Right.
But one other thing you can consider doing is there are people that do like tech travel meetups. If I said that properly, tech travel meetups. Like basically they have like groups of communities where they get deals from travel companies. And then they have a tech community where they're like, hey, y'all, all of us got a deal. We're going to go to this country or go to this place, get an Airbnb and have like just a meetup with like different techies in this other country and party and stuff like
There's
that.
so much underground stuff that I don't know about. You don't tell me about so much stuff. Told me about baddies in tech. Told me about this whole bunch of stuff in tech. I never knew.
Yeah.
Yes. Sign me up.
But again, networking.
Yeah, networking.
What we talk
Facts.
about. That's what it's about.
Facts.
Yeah.
1000%.
Yo.
So I would love that. Anything that can allow me to travel, get money, have fun. I'm all with it.
Yo.
I'm all with it.
I love it. I love it.
I do too.
So Taylor, we're about to go ahead and wrap up. Do we have? Okay. All right. Before we wrap up, my bad. So we got some questions from the Patreon community.
Okay.
We want to make sure that we are able to get to these questions. Okay, I got them. Yeah, appreciate that. All right, y'all. And for those that don't know, we have a Patreon community that gets to be able to tune in and watch live. For those that do not have just a community in general in the tech space, whether you're in tech already and you're looking for a community to collaborate with, a community to build with, network with, or if you're looking to get into tech and you're looking for some insights and information, we have that where we have different tech recruiters, hiring managers, leaders in the industry, executives, coaches, resume writers, interview coaches, a variety of other things where weekly we come on with our community. But the thing that I think is the most special that we do is that we allow our community to actually stream live with us and watch the podcast interviews. And it's not just one podcast episode like this wonderful one that we're having here with Taylor, but it's actually the entire day of episodes where we're having all the different guests come on. And so you're able to have the opportunity to pop in whenever you want, ask different questions to whoever you're interested in. And in this case, we have a couple questions from our Patreon community right now. And the first question that I see on here reads out. So for Taylor, do you think you can find more success and money in a role that is hybrid versus 100% remote?
I'm not going to lie, and I can't even believe I'm saying this, but hybrid. I think just having that office experience a little bit, it helps. Because I know me personally, like being fully remote, sometimes you can just get real comfortable. Like you can get real comfortable. Even when I work remotely now, I don't work from home. I'll go to a coffee shop.
Yeah.
I'll do anything just to get out the way. But I do think sometimes the best success helps when you're in the environment, like the work environment.
Yeah, proximity.
So, in that proximity. Now, once you're able to get into your own groove, and I say that for people that are starting off, but once you're able to get into your own groove, you know, you kind of know what you're doing and you're like comfortable working fully remotely, then that's fine. But I just, based off of my experience, I think that I'm doing well because I kind of have that hybrid role going on now.
That's great. Yeah, and I believe that as well.
Yeah.
You know, and I think as much as I'm always making content talking about working remote, whatever,
Yeah, facts.
it's like, yo, like, okay, it's content, but it's like, let's get real. It's like, especially a lot of these tech companies, their offices are fire.
Oh, yeah.
And I think most people think about going into the office and they're thinking of like other types of jobs.
Nah.
And it's like, yo, these offices are
They
fire.
feed you. Like, like
Yo,
it's a good
I
experience.
don't care how much money I make. I love me some free food.
Me too.
Yo, free food? What?
Me too. All the
What?
time.
I'm with it.
Right.
I'm with it.
So yeah, I think a hybrid role is decent.
Yeah. Okay, next question. All right, so who inspires you in tech, if any, and what do you look for in a mentor?
Who inspires me? I've never been asked this question before ever. That was deep.
That is.
Dang.
These like them first date questions. Where
I'm
it's like,
telling you, I'm
trying
like
to get to
kind
know
of
me.
nervous. I don't know.
Trying to get to know me.
Who inspires me in tech, if any? Honestly, and this is not even to sound like funny or cliche or anything like that, and not even just something coming off the top of my dome, but like, I'm laughing. Like, you gotta inspire me, low-key.
Oh, me?
Like, you gotta inspire
Oh
me.
my God.
I know you're trying to be funny. No, I'm not trying to be funny. Let me break it down.
Wow.
Let me break it down on
Yeah.
why. It's because you were able to find your own like niche with it. You were able to take something that you were doing and then create your own brand with it. And I think that's dope. I'm telling you, I feel like when people think about tech, they think it's boring and it's like you can't have like a swag, you can't be yourself with it.
Yeah.
And it's like now you have platforms like Tech is the New Black, and it's like you're able to see how people leverage that. They leverage like their 9-to-5s, and especially now people try to like stunt on 9-to-5s. Like, oh, you got a 9-to-5, that ain't cool. Like, you can't get money with a 9-to-5. Like, let's be real, you know?
Yeah.
So I think, you know, people like you, people that are, you know, creating their own platform in the tech space inspire me. And as far as what I look for in a mentor, I look for somebody that, you know, believes in me just as much as I believe in myself. And somebody that has created a proven success of what they've done to make me want to be like, hey, I look up to you. Like, you know, you inspire me, things like that. So, yeah.
That's fire.
I know.
Yo,
I'm real, ain't I? I'm real for that, ain't I?
Yes, you're a real one.
It's not fake. I'm being dead.
That's how they thought my background was fake when I was live. They said that's a green. I was live and somebody commented like, "Y'all really listening with this green screen background?"
They be hating on you.
What made it worse is that I got up and I touched it and I put my phone up and walked around. Yeah. What made it worse is that there were people that actually know me, but they had never came to the place. But they knew me from back when I was broke. Yeah. And they admitted, they said, Cyrus, I even thought it was green. They say I still trusted your information, but I thought like you were capping on your background.
The camera was kind of fuzzy a little bit on the background.
I'm not gonna lie.
Even when you go live on my image,
it looks green.
Crazy.
It looks more green screen because the background looked like really, and it's like because every time I'm on there, I'm like my background looks so green screen right now.
Right.
So we about to wrap up. This has been a wonderful, wonderful interview.
Yes.
Taylor, I want to give you the opportunity to share with the people anything you want to leave them with.
Bet on yourself. Always bet on yourself. If you have a vision, a plan for yourself, do it. Like, seriously, do it with everything. I feel like a lot of times people try to talk me out of like, oh, why are you working a 9-to-5? You need to be an entrepreneur. You need to do this, do that. Do what works for you. Do what works for you and be the best at what you do.